Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Hello and welcome back to this breakdown of the Rabbits episode season 1. This is part 3 of episode 3, Marigold and Persephone. I hope you're enjoying everything so far. I hope that you go over to the Rabbits Podcast website and check it out for yourself and listen to the podcast without my interruptions. Due to an error on my part, we're going to have a little bit of overlap from the last Rabbits video I posted. So, without further ado, let's jump into this.
Help me navigate it.
That's what I'm trying to do.
By withholding information?
That's part of it. Yes.
That doesn't make any sense.
You're going to need to be able to read between the lines, see things a certain way, follow certain signs.
I can follow signs.
Not if you don't know what you're looking for.
So tell me.
This, like I said, I'm going to reiterate this from a couple videos ago, or maybe the last video, that I honestly think Jones is actually trying to teach her how to find clues and what to look for and stuff. I honestly don't think he's being a dick or anything. I honestly just think he's just trying to kind of on-the-job training for her.
And you'll share everything with me?
Quid pro quo. Jones?
Fine.
5 minutes later, Jones sent me scanned copies of my parents' death certificates.
This is interesting. This little bit we're going to get into Parker's family history, her background, how close she was to her different family members and stuff. And it's a neat little bit. It adds depth to the character.
My parents died on Valentine's Day, 2007. I was 18. The ferry that capsized was relatively new and, by all reports, mechanically sound. It was human error, they said. I saw it on TV. Divers pulling bodies from the ocean. It was horrible. Now, the fact that Jones had sent me copies of my parents' death certificates was weird, really weird. And I immediately tried calling and sending messages through the Cat Chat application to tell him what I thought of his sick joke.
Obviously, she is not a quick learner.
But there was no response. I have my own copies of those certificates, along with a copy of my brother's death certificate, in a pile of documents somewhere. I have a lot of grim paperwork. My parents died while on vacation, celebrating their 33rd wedding anniversary. My brother jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge in 1999. I lived with my aunt for 2 years after my parents died. After that, I was on my own. I didn't notice anything different about the copies of my parents' death certificates that Jones sent, but I dug up my copies anyway to double-check. They appeared to be identical, except for the date. The certificates Jones sent over listed my parents' deaths as having occurred on January 3rd of that year, over a full month earlier. Just before I was about to throw them away, I noticed another difference. The cause of death was drowning, on both documents. There was water in their lungs, of course. But the death certificates Jones sent over were different. They stated that not only did my parents die more than a month earlier, but that their lungs had been filled with fresh water.
Now we have to wonder if this is some kind of conspiracy or somebody covering something up, or is Jones just messing with her, trying to force her to figure out what the truth is?
Not salt. My parents had drowned in the Pacific Ocean. I had no idea what to make of this, so I messaged Jones. This time, he responded. Why did you send me 2 fake versions of my parents' death certificates?
They're not fake.
What are you talking about? Of course they are.
You notice the discrepancies.
I did. They must be clerical errors.
They're not clerical errors.
What makes you so sure?
I'm sure. Your parents were part of something.
What something?
I'm not sure yet, but it's been going on for a while.
Do you know anything else about my parents that I should know about?
Not yet, but I wanted you to know. I wanted you to be careful.
If this 9 or rabbits or whatever is so rare and secret, seems a bit coincidental that both my parents and Yumiko were both involved, doesn't it?
Maybe not.
What do you mean?
The game attracts certain types. Actually requires certain types.
What types?
The game attracts players. People who live to play games. People who, for one reason or another, feel more comfortable solving puzzles, playing video games, imagining complex, mysterious worlds than they do living in what most people consider the real world.
Most people consider the real world. Not you?
Now, that is an interesting bit of dialogue. As I've mentioned before, and you have your online games, your MMORPGs, and you have different types of them. You have like the World of Warcraft, you have like the Star Trek Online, the Star Wars Online, Grand Theft Auto Online, and stuff like that. They all have their own community, their own problems, real life and in game, and it's interesting that you get this concurrent reality that in the game and in what we consider real life. And I think this whole thing that Jones just enlightened Carly with happened is just a small bit of the whole game.
There's a world that exists below the surface. It's just that most of us are too busy or not engaged enough to see it.
But the people playing rabbits, they can see this other world?
Some of them, yes.
But my parents didn't play games. I mean, I don't think they did. They weren't around very much.
That is also something that comes into play later.
It isn't just people interested in games who are connected to rabbits. There are other factors.
Other factors like what?
Math, biology, and theoretical physics, among other things.
I don't know what to think about all this. I was obviously shocked by the fact that a stranger had just sent me an alternate copy of my parents' death certificates, and I was definitely going to look into anything and everything surrounding those documents.
So, you have to ponder the question, which death certificates are real? The official one, the quote official ones, or the ones that Jones sent her?
which I still suspected had to be fake. But right now, I'm going to speak with my friend and former boss, Nick Silver. It turns out he found something interesting, something about the photograph I'd asked him to look into earlier.
Hello?
Nick, it's Carly.
Hey,
Thanks so much for doing this.
it's kind of what I do.
Yeah, I suppose it is. What'd you find out about that photograph?
Well, first I found something else I thought you'd be interested in.
What?
Alan Scarpio.
The billionaire asshole recluse guy?
Yeah.
What about him?
Well, there's a rumor out there that...
Mm-hmm.
There's a rumor that he won his fortune playing some kind of weird underground game.
I've never heard that rumor.
Yeah, it's kind of an underground thing.
So how do you know about it?
I kind of have some underground friends.
And that name, Alan Scorpio, is a recurring thing. It pops up in pretty much the Rabbit's lore all over the place.
Right. Of course you do.
It was the 1980s, so there's not much out there in the way of information.
Mm-hmm.
My friend found something in a cached comment section on some subreddit.
Right. Okay.
I mean, 1988 was a point in time when brash young millionaires could just suddenly appear on the radar.
Well, anything else on Scarpio's relationship to the game?
That's all I got.
And the picture?
Well, I found a few things, actually.
What things?
There were some additional images hidden within the JPEG file itself, which on its own isn't all that weird.
That's kind of cool because you can get, you can download for free a lot of different programs that will allow you to hide text files or other images within images. It's kind of interesting.
Sounds kind of weird to me.
Wait until you've been doing this as long as I have.
Right, Nick the expert.
The weird thing about these images is the content.
What do you mean? What are they?
It's going to be easier if I just email them to you.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. And again, be careful, Carly.
I
Please.
will, Nick. Don't
Okay.
worry.
Okay, bye.
Bye. What you didn't hear in that interview clip was the first 5 minutes, when Nick tried to talk me out of investigating Yumiko's disappearance on my own. He'd spoken with his hacker friend, and he was worried about a computer coming to life out of nowhere, with nothing on it but a strange surveillance-type photograph of me and my friend.
And the greater the danger, the greater the reward.
Nick suggested that maybe somebody had broken into my apartment and messed with Yumiko's computer, but I wasn't sure. I'd tried to turn it on when I got it from her brother, but it wouldn't boot up. I suspect that whoever messed around with Yumiko's computer somehow did it remotely. I wasn't prepared to even consider the fact that somebody had broken into my apartment while I was sleeping. If I started thinking like that, I'd never be able to sleep again.
I think that's one of the greatest fears that we all have, is somebody being able to come into your house, do whatever they want, and leave while you're in your bedroom sleeping and not be aware of it at all.
So, what weird pictures were hidden in that JPEG? It was a jigsaw puzzle, dozens of pieces that, when combined, resulted in a version of Andrew Wyeth's Christina's World, which, interestingly, or coincidentally, is my favorite painting in the world, ever. There didn't appear to be anything overtly strange about the image upon first glance. but you'll notice that I use the phrase, a version of Andrew Wyeth's Christina's World.
And that, my friends, is another large puzzle piece, and an even larger puzzle.
Well, that's because there was something off with the painting. Like I mentioned, Christina's World is my favorite painting. I've taken 2 trips to New York just to visit it in the Museum of Modern Art. I've had posters of it on my wall since middle school. I have a framed print in my bathroom, and there's a huge fake canvas version in my storage locker.
And yes, Christina's World is a real painting, and you can find both the original and the Rabbits version online with a series of Google searches under the Images tab.
So the point I'm trying to make is that I'm intimately familiar with this painting. That's why something didn't feel right. It was a small thing, very small. I had to double check, but it was different. There were 3 windows on the top floor of the farmhouse instead of 2. Somebody who wasn't familiar with the painting probably wouldn't notice, but I saw it right away. The painting was a fake. An amazing fake, but fake. Which begs the question, why? Why would somebody send me jigsaw pieces of a photo of a fake painting hidden within an impossible photo of myself and Yumiko?
And you have to wonder about the Mandela effect at this point.
Things were getting weirder and weirder. I was just sitting there staring at my computer screen when I received 2 text messages, both from the first number Jones used to get in touch with me. The first message was an image, a photo of a young woman, a brunette, from behind. She was staring at a painting on the wall of a nice house. The painting was Christina's World. But it was the version of Christina's World that had been hidden in the photo I found on Yumiko's computer. There were 3 windows on the top floor of the house. The second text was a time and an address. The address was 10 minutes away. The time was 15 minutes from now. I grabbed my coat. I was off to meet Jones. So it's moderately busy. I can't see anyone in a black hoodie hiding behind a laptop covered in anarchy stickers, so I guess he'll have to come to me. What's going on? What are you doing? Who are you?
You know who I am.
Who are those people in gray? Jones?
Yeah. Nice to meet you. Now hurry up.
And this is a kind of interesting bit too. We'll just listen to it and let it play out.
Okay, so I'm sure you're wondering what the hell happened. Well, it was pretty crazy. I'm gonna lay it all out for you, in detail, next time. It's Rabbits. I'm Carly Parker. We'll be back again in 2 weeks. Until then, stay safe.
Now, hopefully, you've been keeping up with the different clues and things going on. If you listen to the whole first season, the second season, and Rabbit's Path, then you go back and listen to them again. There's a lot of things, little things that you just kind of breezed over the first time you listen to it that actually will pop out and stand out when you do it, when you listen to it again, because the all the clues and stuff are worked into the story in such a way that unless you're just super intuitive, that they're hard to pull out on your first listen. But that wraps up episode 3, season 1, Rabbits, Marigold, and Persephone. Until next time, peace.